Okay, welcome back to the United Pubcast, the official podcast of the Man United Supporters Club here in New South Wales, Australia. Obviously, all of us are still stuck in lockdown here in Sydney, but probably the best time of the year to be stuck in lockdown because of the news that has broken. When discussing sort of how we're going to approach this episode, Josh, obviously Larry isn't with us. He might be joining us in a little bit, but we're thinking how are we going to sort of start this, what to talk about. But I think before we do have to start, obviously, actually haven't opened it yet. I should have done that before we went on air. Cheers to Viva Ronaldo. Obviously, the Corona. I think that is the only place to start. Obviously, we went live at 2 a.m. yesterday. Good evening to everyone in the chat. I see a few people in the chat. We'll get to your comments in a sec. But obviously, we went live with Larry at 2 o'clock yesterday morning, or this morning. And just speechless. We spoke for about 40 minutes, and it was just speechless. It was so exciting, but I don't know what we spoke about. It was just about sort of trying to apologise for me wishing McTominay broke his legs in half, sort of thing. So it was. If you can just talk me through your night, because the last time I spoke to you before we went on air, you were, I think, maybe trying to purchase like a pig's head or the almost Luis Figo treatment when he returned to the new camp.
Well, I'm still in shock. I remember going to bed and I listened to sort of half of Solskjaer's press conference, and I probably listened to the wrong half of it. Listened to the first 10 minutes of it or so, where he sort of dodged. He didn't really dodge the Ronaldo questions, but he just said he's an exceptional player. And I probably should have stayed up for the end bit where he said, Ronaldo was always, he's always got to play Old Trafford. That's his home, and I think that would have really eased my confidence. But a few people in our members group, our supporters group in Sydney, have said did anyone just wake up naturally at 3 a.m. just to check? And I think I was one of them people just naturally woke up just to see how everything was going, because obviously the bookies had lowered the odds for him to come to United. It was now, I think it went from 7-1 to now 2-1 about 10 o'clock last night. So obviously checked that, the good news, and I didn't go back to sleep from 3 o'clock. I was just watching Sky Sports News pretty much live. So yeah, great night, still in shock. But yeah, he's definitely back where he belongs.
Well, we'll get into it in sort of a bit of a more level-headed and clearer discussion. As I said last night, we were speechless and just sort of enjoying the moment. But now we've actually sort of written down some points and sort of we'll go through it. And as I said, Larry will be joining us a little bit later, but he might be drunk. I don't know if he's still hungover or not. But just some of the comments here, we'll throw in George saying, "G'day, still buzzing." Which I'm sure everyone is in the same boat. George Alfieris as well. Now that we've re-signed Ronaldo, Arsenal need to re-sign Almunia, so the 40-yard free kick in the blue kit can be recreated. I've watched that about 30 times today, probably. Justin from the Supporters Club here. Evening, guys. Evening, Ryan from the Supporters Club. I'm sure I should be waking up from this dream soon. And it was one of those things when I woke up this morning, I knew it happened, but you know how in movies or even in real life, you always wake up and you say, was that a dream last night? But you know it wasn't a dream. It's something you say. When you woke up this morning, it was a little bit, well, no, I do know what happened, but it was a little bit more realistic of having to say, was it a dream? Obviously it wasn't, but it did have that feel where you did almost have to pinch yourself. Sully, good to see you, mate. Viva Ronaldo. I've been singing that about nonstop as well. I haven't been able to get Viva Ronaldo song out of my head all day, buzzing. Andy Palmer as well, bald piss everywhere in Stockport. And that's something which we haven't really discussed on, but the meltdown in regards to City, I think Sully said the same thing here in regards, it was great to watch it unfold on Twitter, not just from the Man United side of things, but from the City side of things. And look, they would have been having the exact same sort of argument if he ended up at City. They would have been watching the red half of Manchester absolutely melt down as well. But how have you found sort of social media? Because social media can be so toxic at times, but from a United point of view, in the past, not even 24 hours, in the past 15, 16 hours, has been nothing but positivity.
Social media is class. I mean, Twitter's just been phenomenal with some of the memes, some of the, redubbed tweets from City fans that were only posting, 24, 48 hours ago about having, welcome to Manchester in sky blue with Ronaldo at the back. And obviously that's all changed in the space of 24 hours, which is unbelievable. But yeah, I think it's been largely positive. Obviously, there's some bitterness. I actually spoke to a Liverpool fan today, and they actually said they'd rather he was at United than City, which I thought was a little bit strange. But yeah, fair enough. That's their opinion.
Well, it adds an interesting dynamic to the sort of the game tonight. Obviously, in an hour's time, Arsenal play City. And I've always been in the mood of the last couple of seasons where whoever Arsenal playing, I want Arsenal to lose because I just want to get the popcorn out and watch Arsenal fan TV sort of unravel. However, now with the signing of Sancho, Varane and Cristiano Ronaldo, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, hang on, we're in a title race here, or we should be in a title race. I want Arsenal to win now. We need City to drop points. So while I do enjoy an Arsenal sort of meltdown, we do need Arsenal to win tonight because we are, let's say, direct rivals this season with Man City, or we definitely should be. Just a few more comments here. One from Sanket, good evening, mate. And Elliot as well. Good evening, mate. Been a great day. And also happy birthday to Elliot. Turned the big 30, so big one to him. Just one more comment before we get stuck into the show, George. Arsenal will still find a way to get pumped, even with City on a psychological low. Well, it'll be fascinating to see how City turn up. It's at the Etihad, I think, so it'll be fascinating. Not that there'll be a packed stadium, but be an interesting vibe around the stadium.
10 years to the day they lost 8-2, so...
I saw that pop up on. Well, it has been a great day on social media, but really enjoying everyone in the chat. Really good to see everyone enjoying the build up. Because if you obviously are in Sydney, you have the option of watching us here talk about Ronaldo. If you go to Optus Sport, I assume it's about an hour and a half of Michael Bridges reminding everyone that he once played for Leeds United. So this is your sort of pre-match entertainment. But we will get into the Ronaldo news, obviously. Larry should join us quite soon. But a recap of last night. Obviously, you sort of woke up in the midst of the news when it broke at 3 a.m. But obviously, we went live at 7 p.m. and I was not wishing injury on him, but I was kind of wishing injury on him. I hated him. I thought it was done. I thought he was going to Manchester City. And yes, my heart was broken. I was absolutely devastated. Fast forward 2 or 3 hours, the tide starts to turn. It looks like he's going to come to United. So we're just discussing a little bit there. How do you think it has played out? Because I watched an interview with Rio Ferdinand, and he was saying that he knew about a day before. Not that it was done, but that it was leaning towards Man United. So for even only 24 hours in advance, that's still quite soon. So this has happened rapidly. How do you think the deal has unfolded? Do you think City have thought they had him and Ronaldo was in sort of serious negotiations with City and United have so-called hijacked the deal? Or do you think it's always been United and it's Ronaldo and the agent using City for whether it be to speed up United's thing or a PR thing? Just how do you think it's unfolded in the last couple of days?
I think it's probably a combination of everything, Tom, if I'm being honest. I think we're all so excited today with everything that's happened, but we're all forgetting that, 24 hours ago we were hating his guts technically or potentially that he could be signing for City. There's so many ways this could have played out. I suppose the only real thing, and I know it's cliche, is only he knows, only probably the club knows, only City know as well. Personally, for me, I think I'm probably under the perception that I think he was offered to us probably a couple of weeks ago, and for whatever reason, whether it might not have been Solskjaer, might have been someone within the board, might have rejected it just on the basis that, we'd spend quite a lot of money on Sancho, obviously signed Varane, and who could forget as well, Tom Heaton for the big money. But it's come, 2 weeks later, and he's, wants to leave Juventus, and he's not going to be staying there for this season. And I don't know whether they've used City or obviously context of the situation with City not buying Harry Kane anymore has sort of played into our hands a little bit, in the sense that if United are going to go in for him, there's only really going to be one club he's going to choose over United and City. We're not going to get rejected. I know there was a lot of rumours yesterday saying, from probably not credible sources, and talking about like sites like Sport Bible that said, Ronaldo rejected a move from United. He's definitely going to go to City, but really, he's a United boy at heart. He wouldn't start his career there, but he started, the peak of his development now, really. There was only going to be one club who was going to choose over United and City.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, there's a lot of comments flying in, which is great, but I'm obviously not a computer, I'm not a professional at this, so if I don't get to your comment, my sincere apologies, but I'll try and get to as many as possible. I've seen Elliot, John and Dylan from the Man United Supporters Club say good evening. So good evening, guys. Just a comment here from George, which was in regards to my next point in regards to social media. I feel as though we wouldn't have signed him if City didn't make a move. This is a way of protecting how the club is viewed globally, especially for the younger generations. And I spoke to Larry yesterday saying Man United are going to be bigger than Manchester City. Even if City go on to win the treble or have an invincible season, in regards to football and the football sort of community, people who understand the game and have been around the game, they'll never touch Man United in terms of club stature and size. However, in regards to that next generation of fans, those younger fans coming through, and maybe more importantly, sponsors who obviously dictate so much in the modern game in terms of the money they sort of invest into the game, maybe those because they're probably more important than you and me, the average football fan. That younger generation coming through and the sponsors are probably more important to football, whether we like it or not. And they might see a Ronaldo going to Manchester City as almost that last stumbling block, that last hurdle for Man City to, let's say, become as big as Manchester United, if not bigger. So taking all that, both sides of the argument into consideration, do you think there was ever a worry that City could sort of reach our stature and sort of overtake us in regards to this specific deal? Could this have been not a turning point, but a sort of the last straw?
Well, I definitely agree with the top of George's comment there, in the sense that I don't think we would have made a move. I don't think we would have made a move for him. It definitely. You say to yourself at the start of the transfer window who you target. Ronaldo wouldn't have been one of them, and we knew that obviously there was a little bit of rumblings whether he was going to be staying at Juventus or not. But he's coming to us at 30. What is he? 36 now. He's only he's going to sign a 2-year deal. He's probably only got 2 or 3 years left in him, really, at the top. We're talking like top level Premier League, and that's at a push as well. Like, if I was being completely honest, I had my money on him to go to either PSG or America personally. I thought he'd just take it as like, a 2-3 year retirement, similar to what the likes of like Gerrard and sort of Rooney to an extent did. Even if he went to City, he's going there for 2 years. Realistically, City probably would have failed in Europe at the semi-final. They may have won a league, but I don't think it would have really eclipsed them as being better than United. Probably not at that age. Maybe if it would have been a signing 2 years earlier, it might have been a different conversation.
Yeah, it would be interesting. But just before we move on to sort of more football-related things, in regards to social media, which we think is nothing, but it is quite important, especially when you're talking sort of business like this. When was Leonel Messi announced? He was probably announced about 3 weeks ago, was it?
3 weeks ago, yeah.
I thought that, let's say, broke the internet. That was a huge deal. You just remember sort of the interactions and sort of the headlines that made it, and rightly so. However, I looked at the numbers that came out in regards to the PSG announcement and the Man United announcement. And look, that tweet from PSG has been up for 3 weeks, as I said, in terms of that announcement. And within 3 or 4 hours, the Ronaldo announcement had doubled it. And Messi's tweet had been up for 3 or 4 weeks, or the best part of 3 weeks. Ronaldo's 3 hours. And that has doubled it. And I'm just thinking, it goes to show, which just highlights how big Cristiano Ronaldo is. He's the world's biggest sports star. I think there's something on Instagram about him having the most followers or the biggest sports page, etc. Obviously, Conor McGregor at the moment, in terms of he sold his whiskey. So in the Forbes list, he was at the top, but he'll drop down a little bit. So Ronaldo, in regards to the Forbes list, I assume is up there. And how important do you think that is for United? Obviously, we're going to sort of be focused on what happens on the pitch, because that is what's most important to us. But as a fan, do you sort of take any sort of insight or take any sort of heart in how important the off-field business is, or it's just, okay, that's for the hierarchy to...
Not really. No, not really. I mean, today...
If he does go to Manchester City, if he does go to City and give them that sort of tick in their box in terms of they can improve their commerciality sort of thing, we'll be saying, that's a bit of a down on United if they're continuing to grow. So from United's point of view, is it that important? Like, in my opinion, it probably is.
It's probably important in the sense that City don't get him. I don't think from commercially for United, obviously there's a benefit. Ronaldo's a brand. I mean, I walked past Chemist Warehouse today, and the main thing on the window was a Cristiano Ronaldo aftershave, CR7. He's a brand. He's an entity outside of football. I think for City, the danger of him going to City wouldn't be to the commercial detriment of United. It'd just be the fact that City would have probably grown commercially, as you alluded to.
We're just seeing a comment here from Andy saying Woodward would be creaming his pants. It's unbelievable that you look at the individual signings of Jadon Sancho, Rafael Varane, and Ronaldo. Unbelievable, and it's all with Woodward out the door. So you don't know what he has, the influence he has had on these, or whether the reason we've been able to get these deals done is because United see a future without him, whether the players or the agents. As I said, it'll be amazing if United did get one of those Amazon documentaries of the all or nothing, because the summer transfer business this window has been truly amazing. But we'll just move on a little bit towards memories and continue the celebration in regards to Ronaldo. So just go through a little bit, because obviously I'm like everyone. I'm sure everyone in the comments as well has been spending the last 12 hours watching YouTube compilations sort of thing. So just your thoughts on just memories that come to mind when you think of Cristiano Ronaldo, whether it be a first memory or that lasting memory.
Well, we did a podcast, would have been probably about a year and a half ago, just about the United from 2000 2006, I think, to 2009, or 2000. It was the 2007-8, 2008-9. We just reviewed those 2 seasons, and I think we both said, obviously the season before we briefly touched on the Fulham game, which I know is one of your favourite memories. But for me, just in terms of importance, I think in the 2007-8 season, one of my first away games that year was going to Pride Park to watch us play Derby. Derby were the worst team in the league that year. They got relegated, I think, on something like 18 points or something. It was one of the worst relegations in Premier League history. But United were struggling that game. I think it was like 0-0. We had about 25 shots. And then Ronaldo scored in pretty late on in the game. And I think the away atmosphere, which was absolutely rocking. I think I moved about 4 or 5 rows forward. I think it was one of my first, probably one of my first away games, over the age of 16. So a little bit of illegal drinking and experiencing that match day, away day match day for one of the first times. It's sort of like a young adult was a fantastic experience. And obviously Ronnie getting a winner, one of my favourite games supporting United in the early days.
Just seeing some comments here. Good one from George. He said, I've been spraying myself in the Ronaldo perfume all day, which is a good one. Ashby, good to see you, mate. The free kick against Portsmouth. Yeah, I've seen that, as I said. On repeat on Instagram all day. But just on one of the things in regard, highlights. You mentioned the Fulham goal for me. I remember the debut against Bolton. I think, who was the poor defender for Bolton? Was it Nicky Hunt? I remember he just got turned.
It was Nicky Hunt, yeah.
Turned inside out, and just one of the most electrifying performances you've seen. I urge everyone to just go back and watch that cameo from Ronaldo. But obviously the Fulham goal for me was massive. We've gone 3 years without a title. A big goal away at Craven Cottage, late goal. And it was obviously a fantastic goal as well. He beat him in on halfway and dribbled the whole way. But in regards to sort of moments, it's why I think this today and the last couple of hours has been so emotional. It's because a lot of people say, Man United's about winning trophies. It's about success. It's about sort of winning trophies all the time. For me, it never has been. I think maybe a new generation of maybe Chelsea fans or a new generation of City fans, or even the way their clubs are now run, is about success, is about winning trophies. But United is never, when you look deep down into the core of Manchester United, it's not about trophies. It's not about success. That's obviously a cherry. That's something nice to have on the top of the cake. But it's about stories. It's about loyalty. It's about respect. It's why it would have hurt so much if Ronaldo did go to City, because it would have lacked loyalty. It would have shown disrespect. So Man United is about stories. It's about Munich. It's about a few months later, after Munich, losing the FA Cup final to Bolton. It's not about success. We lost that final at Bolton, but that's part of the story. That's something about Manchester United. It's about the 10 years after that, sort of winning the European Cup. Then the part of the story is getting relegated during the 70s. That's a huge part of United. And one of my most lasting memories, my most favourite memories in Manchester United history is during the David Moyes season, when I think the worst season ever, was when Ryan Giggs walked out as manager. That was just a moment that with nothing to do with success. He was 7th or 8th in the league, we were woeful. But that moment was just something that had nothing to do with the trophy, but sort of reminded you why you love United so much, which is why I think this Ronaldo stuff has been so emotional, because he was so close to breaking our hearts and sort of damaging that story. But it's gone the other way. And my sort of not lasting memory of Ronaldo, but it's maybe my mum's in the chat. She'll remember this story. Hopefully my mum is doing well. She was in hospital the other day, but now she's a close contact for a COVID case, so she hasn't been isolating for the next, I don't know how long. So I hope she's doing well. I'm sure she's watching. But my first Champions League game at Old Trafford. I think you were at this game, Josh, but it was
Celtic, wasn't it?
Yeah, the year after the Champions League winner. It was the 08-09 season. I was so excited. First Champions League game at Old Trafford. It was a Tuesday game. I got there at like lunchtime with my mum. Only I had the ticket. Mum just came along, sort of thing. And I was there at lunchtime. The Celtic fans were there. We sort of be walking around the ground, sort of building up the atmosphere. Went to Harry Ramsden's to get some lunch. Went down to Lowry Centre, and coming back. And I was so excited picking up the newspaper. Sign of the time. Who picks up a newspaper nowadays? But back then it was a big thing. And all over the newspaper was Ronaldo's dropped. Ferguson's dropped Ronaldo for this. Look, I was so excited about the game, but deep down, I was like, I'm not going to be able to see Ronaldo play. I was a little bit gutted. I tried to hide it from Mum that I was so excited, but I was really devastated about Ronaldo not being there. Obviously, I'll get into the ground before anyone. I'm sitting in my spot waiting for the team to come out. This is obviously before Twitter and everything, having the mobile in your palm of your hand. And I was thinking, Ronaldo's not going to come out. He's not going to come out. All of a sudden, he walks out in the warm-up and he plays a good game, and it was over the moon. And he comes back into the sort of press conference after the game with Ferguson. And they questioned Ferguson about it, and they say, what was this news about Ronaldo not playing? And he said, it was news to me when I picked up the paper. Ronaldo was first in the door at Carrington this morning and said, boss, what is this? It was a Champions League game. He obviously wanted to play. So little things like that. A game against Celtic, nothing to do with the trophy. We didn't win the trophy that season. but that's a memory. That's a bit of a story, which is why you do fall in love with players like Cristiano Ronaldo. But just some more comments here in regards to some listeners before we move on, which is an interesting one, which we kind of touched on, but listening from Rob from It's a Football Thing, listening to Rio talk before he said the United hierarchy acted swiftly and didn't look back to get this done. Respect for that, which, look, we'll have future podcasts sort of criticising and sort of highlighting concerns we still have with the owners, and I don't think we shouldn't sort of gloss over this. The Glazers still need to be called out, but it is an interesting one. Just one more here from Ryan. Our board needs credit for this one. They've secured CR7 and done it efficiently for once. This all equates to mega pressure on Ollie now, which we'll get into. He has a trophy to win this squad. And I think that's an interesting point in regards to Solskjaer. He's got huge pressure on him now. It's a great problem for him to have, but it does add a little bit of pressure on my mum here. Claire, obviously, I remember that day clearly, so she does remember it. But we'll move on. And what was the last thing? Making sure, obviously, everyone in chat, really appreciate the interaction. Make sure you do leave a like on the video. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Maybe a few more likes and Larry might wake up. I'm not quite sure. But we're talking about what was the goal I was talking about before? Your favourite goal.
The Fulham goal. So
what was your favourite goal?
Well, the Fulham one's a bit obvious to me, but in terms of the important one, obviously Derby, we were quite close to the league with Chelsea that year, and just like how bad Derby were and how many chances we had in that game, sometimes it just proves that sometimes in games you just need a moment of quality and a moment of brilliance, and he epitomised that for probably a good 2-3 years for United in terms of saving some key games, and he not necessarily playing well as well. I mean, you look a year later in the Aston Villa game where Makeda scored the winner. Ronaldo probably had one of his worst games, and I think he scored 2 goals.
Yeah. I think one was an indirect free kick, wasn't it? It was inside the box in the first half. It was a weird one.
Yeah.
But moving on, and look, we don't have the figures in front of us, but in terms of the deal itself, it's a huge deal. Okay, the transfer fee is actually quite cheap. I think it was around 15, 20 million euro sort of thing, or potentially up to 25 million euro with add-ons, which for Ronaldo, regardless of the age, it's a free transfer pretty much. The investment in this deal comes from the wages. Now, who knows? A lot of reports around 480, 500,000 pound a week, which is obviously a hell of a lot more than what David De Gea, our highest earner, is on. I just want your opinion on, do you think this is good business? Because while we're all riding the wave of excitement, which I'm fully aboard, I think deep down I can look at it and say, it's part of me which doesn't really agree with this deal. Now, I don't care anything about that. I don't care if it's not a good deal. As I said, the story, I love Ronaldo's coming back, so I want to put that to the side. But if I'm being a cynic and sort of dig a little bit deeper, do you have concerns about the deal in regards to, well, Cavani's going to leave, so Ronaldo 2 years, he's got a 37, 38-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo. Is this maybe going to limit our chances if Solskjaer's number one target all along is Erling Haaland? Is that going to maybe impact that? Just your thoughts on the actual maybe financials of the deal.
I don't think it'll impact the Haaland if we were going for him next year. I think it's more, I don't think it's bad business in terms of what we need. Like, I know I said at the start, he probably wasn't a player that we wanted, or wouldn't say maybe wanted, just a poor choice of words, but probably wasn't a player that we needed at the start of this transfer window. He wouldn't have been anyone's predictions to sign for United in this transfer window. In terms of the financials and everything, probably I don't know what his wages are. I mean, I heard rumours that it were going to be 500,000 a week or something. So if they're that, I mean, it's probably not great for the wage bill. I can't see all our strikers at the moment staying this transfer window. I think, as you alluded to in the conference, the podcast early this morning, I think Martial's probably sleeping a bit uneasy. Someone probably will have to get sacrificed in that respect, and I don't think it'd be a bad thing if Martial was to leave. And I have my opinions on that. Obviously, Larry's quite passionate about that in that respect. In terms of next transfer window, I don't think it does too much damage really. I think Cavani's obviously going to go anyway at the end of the season, and I don't think we can, even though he had such a positive season last year, I don't think you can guarantee the same success with that. He's obviously going to be coming into the season pretty late, in the sense that he's not going to make his first game until probably well after the international break. I doubt he'll be making a start against Wolves at the weekend.
Well, it'll be interesting. Just going back a little bit, a comment here from George in regards. I've just seen 2 comments regarding this. For me, his most important goal was that screamer against Porto. Would have been knocked out on away goals, and Ryan just sort of concretes that as well, saying Porto away was huge. As Andy Gray says, what a hit, son. Favourite goal for me is the free kick against Portsmouth. But just that Porto goal, I think I've had this discussion with you. One of the sort of difficult things with that Porto goal was the camera angle. It cut out just before. Larry is here.
There he goes.
Good to see you,
He's on the
mate.
base.
Viva Ronaldo, Viva Ronaldo, running down the wing as United sing. Viva Ronaldo. How are we, lads?
Well,
I'm disappointed you got the song wrong.
I got a haircut just for you, Larry.
Oh, looks good. Looks good.
We need to teach you the words to the song, Larry, unless you had a few too many drinks.
I have had a few drinks.
Well, Larry, how's your day been in
why
regards to? We've spoken to Josh about how his sort of night unfolded, but you were obviously up with us 2 a.m. sort of dissecting the news last night. But since you had a little bit of power nap after that, how was the day sort of unfolded?
Yeah, good. It's sort of surreal, isn't it, lads? Like, it's just one of those things where it's just something we've always dreamed about, I think. And probably since particularly Fergie's final season in charge, I think a lot of us did dare to dream. And there was a strong link with Ronaldo back to United at that time. But I think a lot of us had accepted that ship had sailed. And now that it's actually sunk in that, man, this is actually happening, you almost got to pinch yourself. You're truthfully a child in Wonderland. Like we touched on it this morning, Tom, that Ronaldo is the one who, for a lot of us, made us really fall in love with football. Josh isn't too far from my age, so I'm sure it might be a similar feeling. And it's just phenomenal to have him back. I'm absolutely buzzing.
Well, just before you popped on, and
it's a free pass. It's a free pass. It doesn't matter how if it makes sense in a business sense. It's sort of like every club has a free pass. I mean, if City could get Darius to sell back to take it back, it'd be great. Be passionate.
We see City tried to sort of not trump us. I don't know what their sort of idea was. Obviously, they've been built before, but they announced two statues, woeful statues. I thought fair play to them, but I'm surprised Richard Dunn didn't get a statue, but they've opted for Vincent Kompany and David Silva. But if Ronaldo comes back and wins the Champions League or Premier League for us, it'd be a very strong argument to have him as the next statue recipient. But Larry, just before you come on air, we'll discussing with Josh in regards to the financials of the deal and sort of the business side of this deal, which we didn't really talk about last night. We're just sort of celebrating that. Now that you've had a few hours to think about it, are you happy with the deal? Obviously, you're happy with Cristiano Ronaldo coming, but in terms of the potential knock-on effect, okay, is this going to affect Pogba's wages and what he decides? Is it going to affect Haaland's maybe pursuit? Just how do you think the knock-on effect will impact United?
Yeah, not actually too concerned, if I'm being entirely honest. I've been thinking about this throughout the day. I think I've now accepted, and funnily enough, while completely different positions, I feel like this signing has almost given me peace to let Pogba go. And I know this almost sounds a little bit stupid. I'm keen to see what you boys think. But there's this sense of feeling for me that because we lacked a genuine superstar in the side, I know Bruno's obviously starting to reach that status, but Pogba was probably the out-and-out star of this side. I think no one could debate that. With Ronaldo now coming back, there's no debate that this club is still the biggest in England, still one of the biggest in the world, and can still attract the best players if this bloke is still in the top three for me. So for now, I'm happy for Pogba to leave because now that we've got Cristiano Ronaldo, there is a window and an opportunity to revamp that midfield. So I'm not really too concerned. If Paul Pogba wants to leave, there's the door, mate. Don't let it hit you on the way out of Manchester Airport.
It's amazing how it's changed. Look, I agree with you, Larry, but it's amazing how it has changed in terms of just the narrative of Ronaldo coming back and the feel-good factor that has given us, where we're thinking, which we wouldn't have been. Imagine having a discussion last week saying, get rid of Paul Pogba, we don't need it. I know you're not saying that now, but almost kind of saying, well, we could do without Paul Pogba. The pull Cristiano Ronaldo has in terms of playing with our emotions is amazing. Just some of the comments here in regards to statues. Andy's saying, hope the statue is better than the one in Madeira. Yeah, I don't know how that got processed, that one, to be fair. That statue of Ronaldo, I do feel sorry for him there. But George, the only things worthy of a statue at City are the tools used to extract the natural gas to fund their club. I like it, George. And John from the Supporters Club, just probably our next topic, we'll get into it a little bit, just touch on it for 30 seconds, saying no disrespect to Cavani, but surely Ronaldo gets the number 7 back. If squad numbers haven't been locked in yet. And I think that is where, Josh, the stumbling block may sort of appear. A lot of rumours are saying, well, if the players have been registered as a squad number, if the squad number has been registered with them, it will prevent any sort of swapping of the numbers. So just your thoughts. Say it's a non-issue. United can swap the numbers. Cavani can give the shirt up. We've had this discussion with Phil Jones and Rafael Varane, and I was quite critical of Phil Jones, sort of thing, maybe a little bit harsh. But how do you think this could play out, and maybe / should play out?
I think I'm very old-fashioned when it comes to kit numbers, and Cavani's not a number 7, so yeah, he should give away the kit to Ronaldo because Ronaldo technically is. Probably not so much now in terms of where he plays, but he was our number 7, and he to be fair, he's probably be in his contract. He's a brand, isn't it? It's CR7. Like I presume that would have played a big factor in.
It'll be an interesting thing, even if let's think, even if it's they are locked in terms of the squad has been registered. Larry, do you think there's even a case where the Premier League could jump in and say, okay, hang on, Ronaldo's a brand, we're sort of trying to overtake La Liga, or not trying to overtake La Liga, but sort of continue our sort of status as the biggest club, as the biggest league in the world? Could you see them almost jumping in and helping United give Ronaldo the shirt?
He'll get the 7 shirt. I think what really helps United here is Cavani hasn't played a game this season. So that it almost removes that argument. And that's the loophole that I've been reading on today. I'm not particularly across the particulars of the Premier League rules, but there is chatter that because Cavani hasn't actually played a single minute in the Premier League, that there is a window for United to actually make the switch. So, look, he'll wear the 7. I have no doubt in the world.
Well, George makes a point here. So I think there's a scenario where Ronaldo wears 7 in Europe and a different number in Premier League. I remember in the treble winning season, Wes Brown, obviously, he wore 24 and 30. So it has been number 4. 24. But just on that one here from Glazer, Andy Palmer, Glazers would love that scenario, George, in regards to given the number 2, Cristiano Ronaldo. But Rio Ferdinand was talking about the number. He did a podcast with Stephen Howson. And he was talking about sort of how the deal unfolded from his end, what he thought, the conversations he had with Ronaldo. And he pretty much let it slip, saying Ronaldo's wearing the 7 shirt. Now, obviously, he's got his ear to the ground a lot closer to us. But you're talking about Josh there in terms of being old school, and Cavani's not number 7. How do you think Cavani... We've had the discussion with Phil Jones, saying it's a little bit disrespectful. It's taken the last bit of dignity he had away if you take away the shirt number. Is Ronaldo just a different category? Even a player like Edison Cavani would say, okay, it's Ronaldo, let it be. Or could you see it maybe causing a little bit of drama?
I think it might cause a little bit of drama, to be fair. I mean, he's not saying he's not got an ego, Cavani. Like, he's probably going to be very... You can't predict it, but he'd probably be quite stubborn about it. I mean, I wouldn't be happy if someone took my kit number away. I'm sure you wouldn't as well. But look, it's not something I take sides of because I'm just so happy Ronaldo's back. But I was just like, yeah, just give him a number.
Yeah, well, look, it's a debate for another day, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Ahmad, good to see you, mate. Good evening, gentlemen. Again, sorry for the lateness. No need to apologise, mate. And he's liking what you're looking like at the moment, Larry. That hair's never looked better. It's never looked safer. It was a different argument. It was a different debate a couple of days ago when Ronaldo was looking at the blue side of Manchester, and one from Ashby here. Bit like seeing Michael Jordan return wearing number 45 instead of 23. Won't seem right if Ronaldo doesn't wear the 7. And look, yeah, I think that's the narrative in terms of the story. We do want Ronaldo to wear 7. Maybe there's a chance that there's been the rumour of number 28, which is obviously close to taking the first time around when he did arrive. But we'll just go into the actual football side of things because he's a footballer and he's coming into a football team. We might as well discuss that, Larry. Yes, he's a striker now. Josh said, okay, he might not be the old number 7 in terms of the position on the pitch, but he obviously, well, I'll get your opinion. In my opinion, he will be a number 9. He'll be our centre forward. In regards to what system, who knows, time will tell, whether a 2-striker system or by himself. But can you see a change in system to suit Ronaldo? Like, is Ronaldo going to be playing 50 games a season? How do you sort of see Solskjaer utilising him?
He'll play 50 games a season. You don't pay a player £480,000 a week to rotate him in and out, and he's in prime condition for that. He is built. He signed a 2-year deal, and that 2-year deal is to fulfill the full potential of his body. And I don't think he'll be abused, which I think our depth is phenomenal in terms of what our attacking options are. But look, Tom, he'll play. If it's a Champions League midweek, he'll want to play most crucially. But I think there's an opportunity, say, should we be safe in the Champions League groups, you can rotate. You won't need to start him crucially. I think that's the important thing here. But he'll be playing most games more than not. But you can be assured of that.
Well, you just mentioned
I agree
the point
with what Andy said.
Yeah, well,
I agree
in regards to that, with Cavani, do you almost see I'm not going to say Ronaldo's going to come into the dressing room and start calling the shots, but he kind of will. That's the sort of personality he is, and he has earned that respect. Now, obviously, a manager should be calling the shots, and I'm positive Solskjaer sort of will sort of pull rank over Ronaldo. However, could Ronaldo almost see that Champions League group United have been drawn in, Josh, in terms of it's quite a weak group in regards to Champions League standards? Could you almost see Ronaldo saying, okay, Ollie boss, rest me on the weekend, let me loose on against young boys in Atalanta midweek so I can rack up because that's obviously where a lot of his legacy sort of lies in regards to European goals and Champions League goals. Could you almost see Cavani being the Premier League striker and Ronaldo being not held back for the Champions League, but more priority put on the Champions League by Ronaldo?
I don't think it'd be through his want. Ronaldo certainly not. He'd want to play every game, but we know what Solskjaer can be like at times. He sort of has his sort of set players for different tournaments. But then again, he had a habit of playing pretty much a strong team throughout, a load of tournaments last year. Like Europa League was pretty much our strongest team. He had I think the only time I've ever seen Ollie really rotate a team was when we were in a group stage against Astana in Kazakhstan, and was pretty much won the group, and there was no need to really play a full team. I think that really hurt him inside to make such slight changes. I think going back to Andy's comment, I agree with it. I think he does rotate with Cavani from time to time, but I think that'd just be due to the fact that with losing of a striker, I'm sorry to say, Larry, I don't think Martial will be here, on deadline day.
Don't be sorry to say it, mate. Look, I was on here at 2 a.m. in my delirious state, and I said, like, Martial's the one he's the one fearing for his future. He hasn't taken his chance, unfortunately for him. He started the season poorly. He's had a good opportunity. And if he banged in some goals to start, I think we'd be having a different discussion. But look, I agree with you, Josh. I think Martial, it's a season and 2 games, granted, but I think he's gone.
I just can't see anyone else going. I can't see anyone else going. That's the thing. Yeah, Lingard, he's pretty much confirmed his thing. And he said that on a press conference yesterday where he's probably known for a while by Ronaldo signing. So I think for me, Martial, just with all the wages they've got on the bill, like they've got to get rid of someone.
Well, in regards to taking the chances, Larry, you mentioned sort of taking chances. Strangely, I think George here is saying, strangely, I think he'll be most effective against the lesser teams where we need something extra, break a low block and snap at half a chance. And I think that's the thing where we've had those strikers like Martial, and that maybe needs to be in the game, maybe needs to have, I'm not saying 10 or 30 chances, but he needs 5 or 6 chances and need to be playing well to be able to score a goal, where Ronaldo can touch the ball once and he can score a goal sort of thing.
But do you not think that's what we've been missing, Tom?
Oh, yeah, no.
To be effective against the small teams. Because we're so like last year, think of the positives you would have reviewed in the podcast last year. The positives really came against some of the big performances. We talked about Leeds, the Southampton winning 9-0. That's probably one of the only examples of, doing well against probably a smaller team. Leeds is Leeds. It's sort of a bye. It's a rival. Anything can happen. And then obviously we had a good win against one of the big teams as well with City. But the smaller teams, that's what we've been missing really, just absolutely annihilating small teams.
My concern against the smaller team, though, and I'll go to Larry, and look, it's a good point you make, Josh, and George in the comments as well. My concern, though, is not when that chance falls to him. It's not that. It's how we're going to almost, not cave in a bad way, but he'll dictate the way we play. And it's a criticism I had of Portugal at the Euros, because I obviously didn't watch Portugal during the qualifiers, but when I saw them in the Euros, I thought the reason they went out was because of Ronaldo. They had so many sort of talented players, but they were dictated to play what Ronaldo wanted. And I'm just thinking, if we come up against a low block team, I don't know if we're going to have the creativity. If the game plan is, okay, get it on Ronaldo's head, that's going to play into the hands of Burnley or teams like that, teams against Brighton, that's going to play into their hands. So when that chance comes to him, yeah, no one better. I'm over the moon. I'm definitely not criticising the signing, but I'm just thinking, I think maybe from a footballing point of view, in terms of, it's like Lukaku. Lukaku's going to score goals, but I think if you had a better player than Lukaku, your team would be in a position where you could score more goals. When the ball falls to them, brilliant. Okay, but I think they might sort of limit your chances in terms of the way you play. But I saw Sully here saying Gary Neville, saying he'll be playing week in, week out as a 9, which, completely agree. Just one here from Ahmad saying, as ecstatic as I am about him returning, I hope there isn't I'm the man here sort of situation with a lot of big personalities, especially in Bruno and Pogba, which is a thing, but I definitely wouldn't have that as a concern. I almost see that as, I think I think if Pogba comes into the dressing room with that attitude, it's a concern. I think if Martial comes in with that, it's a concern. Or Bruno Fernandes, it's a concern. Ronaldo and Messi are in a different level, that they earn the right to be the man, and players will look up. The players will look up to them, and say, "Okay, no, he's not arrogant. That's just who he is. That's his ability dictating that."
Let's focus on the positives with Ronaldo. We touched on it when the news first came out. What Ronaldo is going to do, think about the players around him. Think what this does for the likes of Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford. I'm telling you, those players, they're going to go to another level because they're going to see the excellence that Ronaldo demands in training, and they're going to think, how can I emulate that? It's going to push on Cavani. It's going to push on everyone to a whole new level. I imagine Ronaldo is going to have his hands around Fred's throat the first training session they have because he's going to see him misplacing a pass, and it's going to drive Fred to be better.
Well, that's the thing. You're completely right. I remember when I was playing here, and maybe a guy in the comments used to play with me. I'm not sure if he's here in terms of Petey. We had a Socceroo. He used to play for Manchester City. Jason Van Blerk used to play for Socceroos as well. He came back and played a few seasons with us. And the way he demanded better from you was, I didn't think about it at the time, but looking back, it was completely that. It was a fear of him in terms of, if I was passing the ball with Larry, if you were in midfield and I was passing you the ball, I'd pass you the ball. When he was calling for the ball, when he wanted the ball in defeat, he demanded the ball perfectly, not saying, Jesus, I'm not going to get this wrong, otherwise he's going to rip my head off. So I had to be better when I was playing him the ball. So when Ronaldo's calling from a ball from Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to take a lot more care to make sure that pass sticks. And that just naturally improves everyone. So just your thoughts, Josh, on his influence in and around the training ground in terms of Ahmad's initial point. And I know Ahmad wasn't making this point and saying that it was a bad thing, but the potential for maybe being a bit sort of overawing of the players. Is there any concern of that, or Ronaldo sort of? It's not a lazy argument, but that's just not a case with Ronaldo. He's a professional and he's here to help and win.
I think this was 2 years ago when he was going to Juventus and we signed him down. I think there'd be an element of that, but I think now United have sort of got themselves into positions where we're not really, I suppose we're a little bit odd in the sense that we've bottled, quite a few semi-finals, finals of tournaments. But I think this is like the sort of the missing link to say, you know what, we've got sort of like an eliteness now to sort of, try and get over the line in those respects and try and win those trophies. You see, like with United, it's sort of in their, it's obviously in their DNA in their past to win. And we've bottled, like, how many semi-finals, finals we bottled in the past couple of years? We've been sort of nearly men. And so this is the missing link. And it's not really like, maybe there is a little bit of arrogance to it. And I think that's what sort of United, that sort of epitomised probably Ronaldo's first one of United. There was that arrogance about United, just like, we're going to win today. And you sort of feel with that going in. And who knows what could happen. First game against Newcastle could be 0-0 at Old Trafford. And we'd be like, back to normal, boys. But,
well, look,
Rio
Ferdinand made that point in regards to, okay, we've just talked about the United side of things and how they're going to deal with the introduction of Ronaldo, but also the opposition in terms of there's the old adage of sort of being beaten in the tunnel, especially at Old Trafford. Now you can imagine a team, let's say Newcastle, the first game back at Old Trafford, Newcastle suddenly lining up thinking, Jesus Christ, they've got Ronaldo here, this is going to be an issue. And they're suddenly thinking, well, can I get a photo with him after the game? Can I get an autograph? Maybe can I get his shirt? They're not really thinking about the game, and that is where Man United can sometimes win the game in the tunnel. But just a few things here before we move on in regards to the tunnel and sort of the same sort of thing. Elliot, I hope he emulates Roy Keane in the sense of training and leadership, and I don't think it's a case of hope. I think he is. In terms of Roy Keane, the one person Roy Keane only has positive things to say about, even if Ronaldo put in a stinker, Roy Keane absolutely loves him. And I think if Roy Keane loves you, you're obviously doing something right on and off the pitch. And Jordan Hughes, Fred will cop it. Yeah, as Larry was mentioning, I can't imagine Fred sort of having too much joy at training. Could you imagine Fred, Larry, lining up free kicks at training when one matter? Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, Cristiano Ronaldo line up free kicks. Not that Ronaldo's the best on free kicks, but Fred trying to weasel his way into that discussion.
Go away, Fred. The hand to the head, like when you just keep him at the... You know what?
When I think about Fred... in every position.
Hayes, what was that?
I was going to say, with Ronaldo, you've got a world-class player now in every position on the pitch. Defend,
absolutely,
midfield, attack now. And 100%. To an extent.
100%. And I think, with Fred, he's got moments in him where he's actually looks okay back to goal. The issue with Fred is he's just got this lack of concentration in his game. Is he the best at it? Of course he's not. And I'm not even suggesting that we do not need that deep-lying midfielder. But in saying that, if you do have players like Ronaldo who can lift the standard, that just means that when Fred's concentrating 95% of the time, he's now going to concentrate 99% of the time.
Yeah.
You're just going to be demanding that extra bit because
Leonel.
Ronaldo is going to be abusing you if you're misplacing passes. That's the thing. Like, you can't underestimate a good character in modern football. It's a dying art. There's not many of them anymore. So, like, trust me, forget what Ronaldo brings on the pitch. What he's going to bring off the pitch, equally as valuable.
We'll just hear, which look, I completely agree with both of you there. But George saying Dan James will be the first one asking for an autograph. But even the players, and that is something we can joke about that. Yeah, you have a joke. But it's not just Dan James. Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes probably looks up to Ronaldo as well. I know he plays with him for Portugal.
Did you see Bruno's post on Instagram?
Yeah, that was a beautiful post. But yes, stuff like that. And I think that is something that while players might be a little bit nervy of Ronaldo that first couple of times, that they will get to know that he's just human. He's just a normal person sort of thing, and they will sort of tend to love him. So, yeah, off the pitch, this sign is just as important. But just one more thing here from Ryan saying, I might make you excited with these words. The United counter-attack Sancho, Rashford, and the king of counter-attacks Ronaldo. Luke Shaw crosses to Ronaldo is spicy, and also Sancho's cross as well. Yeah, I've been watching that Arsenal counter-attack in the Champions League about 20 times today. But before we wrap up the podcast, make sure, loving the interaction in the comments, and obviously all the celebration, the continuation of all the celebrating of Ronaldo's return, please leave a like. We're just going to touch on one more thing before we wrap up. And obviously only about 40 minutes till Manchester City and Arsenal. But I want to talk about what we expect from United, but more so maybe Ronaldo this season, Josh. There's huge pressure on Solskjaer now. Not that there was before, but now with Cristiano Ronaldo coming in now, I've always been of the opinion, and I stand by it, it's not about a trophy for me in terms of if he doesn't get a trophy, he has to be sacked. As I said, I could draw up a scenario where we get 99 points and lose the title. We get to a Champions League final, and Leonel Messi puts in the top corner in the last minute of extra time sort of thing. And suddenly, okay, you got no trophy, it's a failure. That's not the case for me. However, when you do look at our team on paper, and you do look at the names and you look at the investment of Cristiano Ronaldo, it'd be a very hard argument if Solskjaer didn't win a trophy to keep him on. So how do you think this changes Solskjaer's job?
You simply got to win a trophy. I think he obviously I wouldn't want him to get sacked if he didn't. Like, I think what he's doing for the club is great. I think this transfer window has proven that with him as manager, he can still attract big names to the club. Whether that's him or that's just Man United in general, that's another debate. But I think he does. There's no excuse with the squad we've got. I think 2 years ago when he went into the squad, I think we were all saying we've got no depth in the squad. Now we do. We've got like an overload of players in different positions. And yes, probably maybe some players will go in the next few days. Maybe one or two players will go, but we've got a lot of depth to really be challenging, for a couple of trophies. And like I said before a couple of minutes ago, we've got world-class players in probably every position of the pitch now in terms of, forward, midfield, defence, keeper to an extent. You bridge the gap now between, United and City and maybe Chelsea and Liverpool to an extent as well. You really would put ourselves as challengers this year. I know we finished second last year, but we were miles off the park, and it was those small games that probably cost us alongside, the start of the season and, the heavy defeats at the start of the season as well. I don't think there's any excuse for United now. I'm not saying they should win the league because, Chelsea are looking really strong, and obviously City, you can never write them off as well. But, getting a cup run, FA Cup, League Cup, even a European, definitely getting past the group stage. And obviously trying to progress in the Champions League over 2 legs, United can beat anyone, and they've proven that over the course of the past few years. Well,
Larry, from a Ronaldo point of view, okay, that's a United point of view, but looking at Ronaldo now, what are you expecting from this season? Obviously, the expectations are going to be high, mainly because of the excitement, the media pressure, but also the evidence we have. He isn't slowing down his old age, maybe in terms of his performance, maybe in terms of numbers, he's not. So what are you expecting in terms of, well, let's be honest, a goals return, in terms of that's what he's here for. He's here to score goals. A good season for Ronaldo.
I'm expecting a 30-goal season, and I don't think that's unrealistic, to be honest.
You don't think?
Just look at what he did at Juventus, and Serie A is a hard league to score goals in. If you do follow Serie A, which I don't follow it religiously, But the games that I do watch it here and there, late night if I'm up and I see something on, I'll watch it. It's a slog of a league. It's more of a defensive focus. It's definitely not free flowing like the Premier League is. And Ronaldo's still bagging 30 goals. He'll get opportunities and he'll bag goals, mate. If he can get 20 goals in the Premier League this season, I think United will be there or thereabouts.
Do you think the introduction
nine as well?
Or do you think the introduction? I'll go to Josh. Do you think the introduction of Ronaldo? Let's say we don't bring a defensive midfielder in the next couple of days, which hopefully we do, but look, at the moment it looks like we're not going to. Do you think the introduction of Ronaldo sort of outweighs that? It doesn't matter. Like obviously it does matter if we don't have that midfielder. Do you think it's almost okay? We can deal with that if we have Ronaldo's goals. If Ronaldo does get 30 goals, well, okay, we can deal with Fred McTominay.
Well, yeah. Well, McTominay, how long is he out for? He's not going to be making an impact for a month or so now.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Larry was saying McTominay said he's only up for 2 or 3 games. I haven't seen that interview, but it'll be interesting.
On his Instagram, he said he should be back after the international break.
Yeah.
I thought he meant 2 or 3 United games, so that would be a month or so after the international. But I don't know if he meant the international as well. But yeah, I think it takes the pressure away. I don't think United are gonna. I think that's business done for United now. I don't think they're signing anyone. We can forget about Saul. And who else were we linked with? We're linked with another player as well.
Probably Ruben Neves for the other one.
Yeah, Neves. I think that's business done, and I think they can probably get away with that for another year. United. I think they're fine with what they've got. They've got Donny sitting, keeping the bench warm as well. Surely he's got to start at the weekends and see. Prove his worth as well. Great opportunity for Donny now. Whether he goes for Matic, I don't know, but it's a great opportunity for. It'd be crazy if he didn't start. I know we keep saying this every game. Everyone in the comments saying, every match preview you do, someone will put in the comments, Donny's got to start, and you just feel if he doesn't start this game, Jesus Christ, like.
Well, yeah. I'll definitely tune in to the international duty this week or next week. And just with my fingers crossed, just that Ronaldo doesn't get injured, I'll be watching. I think Portugal actually playing Ireland, actually. So it'll be an interesting game. I wouldn't have said it's an interesting game a year ago with international football, but here I am in 2021. Just a comment here I've seen from Sully. It's a good one, which I saw on Instagram, which I did enjoy, saying Matic had on Insta, to my family and friends, don't ask for Ronaldo's shirt. But that'll be the thing, which I've said, these players, okay, Ronaldo's just going to be a peer. He's just going to be a teammate. But he is more than that, even to these celebrities as players, like a Nemanja Matic, like a Juan Mata, like a Marcus Rashford or Greenwood. They will look up to Ronaldo as a celebrity. And there will be an awkwardness, but that awkwardness should, as I said, which in terms of Larry, you brought up, will result in improved performances.
There's a similarity, and maybe it's late, Josh, but if you want to think back to Fergie's London, there's such a similar vibe. We need a midfielder. That's all I never talked about. But then United go out and buy Van Persie under the of Manchester City's. And he led United title 20. I'm just wondering.
Larry, you're starting to sound like a bit of a robot, so maybe just come in, then come out. I've just muted you, but just pop out of the chat and then come back in. We're almost about to wrap up anyway. But
he's not wrong with what he was saying, Larry. I sort of got what he was saying. You're saying United needed a midfielder in 2012, 2013 and signed Van Persie, and you technically won a league with Tom Cleverley playing in the middle. So I get what he's saying.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where, look, we won't know how it plays out. Larry, you're on mute and I'm talking. But,
definitely on the beer, didn't he, Larry?
He's had a few beers, bless him. But that's the thing. We're so excited about these Ronaldo's goals, but we won't know how it plays out. He might have a 30-goal a season sort of achievement, but it might not prove beneficial. We might concede. He might score 3 and we might concede 4. So we won't know how that 30 goals looks until the end of the season, and we see how that defensive sort of record shapes up. But look, man, I don't think his name has even popped up in this conversation. Our defense will improve. We've got Rafael Varane. We've almost forgotten about that signing. Jadon Sancho was such an exciting signing. Rafael Varane was probably more exciting for a lot of us. And we're not even mentioning the Frenchman.
It's exciting stuff, man. Exciting times. Keenan, seriously, this team on paper.
We just got here just one or two more comments before we wrap up. Andy saying we could be the new, which I just mentioned there, we could be the new Newcastle under Keegan and win games 4-3. I do like a 1-0 win, but I could take a 4-3 against Newcastle. It seems to be what we do. John from the Supporters Club here saying Van Persie was the last Man United player to score 20-plus goals in a Premier League season. Oh, I assume Premier League goals. Yeah, that would be correct. And look, it'll be interesting. Obviously, 2 games in, or it'll be 3 games into the season before Ronaldo obviously does pull on the red shirt. So he's starting from a disadvantage a little bit. But George saying Ronaldo needs 1 more goal to break the all-time international goals record. So he'll go all out in international duty. He was very close against in the Euros. He was if he went 1 more game, they thought maybe he could have got it. So he is all about these records. And look, let's just hope from a United point of view, some of these records sort of do result in success for United, because we talked about David Silva and Vincent Kompany getting statues at Old Trafford. We've talked about what makes a United legend when we've had, George Best, Bobby Charlton, Roy Keane, that level. Is this player at this level? What is Rooney a legend? Is Rooney not a legend, etc.? If Ronaldo comes back and wins something, Larry, and when I mean something, I'm talking a Champions League or a Premier League, he goes into that upper category. He goes into the absolute top drawer of legends at Old Trafford.
He enters Cantona status. If you think of what Cantona actually did, he set the platform for what United then became after him. What Ronaldo has the opportunity to do here, it's truthfully, you cannot rewrite this story. You could not have planned this. A director could not have started approaching Manchester United, writing this narrative for an Amazon documentary. If he comes here, delivers the first Premier League since Sir Alex retired, forget it. You put his name right up there. Whether he deserves a statue, that's another story, and I think that'll come down to what he goes on to win. But there's a real opportunity now for Ronaldo to really go out in a blaze of glory. I'm bloody excited, boys. I've had too much. I can't say any more stupid things.
Well, Man United do have a football game tomorrow. This time tomorrow, obviously, United will be playing. We have forgotten about that. But we do have a football game against Wolves, and it will be a while before we do see Ronaldo, because obviously the international break, unfortunately. But hopefully we do have another signing to discuss. But we will be back, and Larry will obviously join me. Nice work with the pin, Larry.
Yeah, working on
camera. Yeah, well done. Yeah. Looks good.
There we go.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how it does play out. Nothing but excitement at the moment and positivity, and that will continue, and rightly so. But there are sort of broader discussions to have in regards to Ronaldo's arrival, which I think will break down in the coming days. But Larry and I will definitely be back on Monday after the Wolves match. United have to win this game now. Okay, Ronaldo's not going to be there, but the vibe amongst the away fans and the team, Josh, will just be they'll be on cloud 9, surely.
Well, yeah, I mean, we signed Angel Di Maria and Radamel Falcao, and we lost 4-0 to MK Dons. So anything can happen. But no, in all seriousness, though, you want to be. Hopefully, you and Larry will be reviewing, a match win on Monday where we've broken the away record as well.
A little bit different situation here, but actually making the point of, obviously it was how long's Ronaldo been? Was it 10, 12 years sort of thing? Eric Cantona was a few months, but that return when he came back out at Old Trafford after the ban, after the kick, that'll be the reception he does get at Old Trafford. And just 2 more comments here before we wrap up. We'll be on cloud 9 until Fred is dispossessed by Traore on the edge of the box on first thing Monday morning.
Stop it.
And if someone could clip this, and my next child will be named Ronaldo if we win the league by Sully. So someone can clip that in 9 months' time. We'll get Sully a new little baby for him. But Sully, hope your little one is doing well. Send some photos on Instagram of him. Hope he is doing well. But on that, good to chat. An hour chat. The beer has gone. I need to go and get another one, but not only another beer. I need to go and get a full bowl of popcorn, because Arsenal are kicking off in half an hour. And whatever happens, win, lose or draw, there's going to be fireworks in that game for a multitude of reasons. So especially the sort of the fallout on Arsenal Fan TV, which I'm all about social media these days with the positivity of United. So I'll be on social media after. Speaking of social media,
I've got them to win 1-0 on Super Bro.
Yeah. Well, look, it would be such an Arsenal. It would be such an Arsenal thing to win this. You could almost see it in City in terms of the couple of days they've had. We don't want to talk about what's happening off the field with City. There's a huge issue with one of the players, not for us to discuss. But it's been a horrible week for City in regards to the Harry Kane stuff, the Ronaldo stuff, and obviously one of their players. So, look, long may it continue. Long may it continue well for United. Hopefully everyone did enjoy this chat and something to sort of kill some time on a Friday night if you are in Sydney. If you're somewhere else in the world, enjoy your little bit of freedom. But I'm making sure you do like the video, and if you've not subscribed, please do. And good to chat to you, boys. And we'll chat to you, Larry, on Monday.
Fingers crossed after 3 points against Portugal.
Against Portugal,
lads.
correct. Cheers, lads.